Um, all right. Um, this is me trying to give, my opinion on this particular story that has been going around of a husband who was literally begging his wife to stay alive. Story has it that, according to what we've come to know, that she was heavily pregnant. They had taken her to the hospital, according to him, for treatment. What we are not sure of is whether she had a kind of health condition or crisis, or it was because she was about to have a child, or whether it was labor, and maybe she was having some kind of complications. We're not exactly sure because he kept using the word treatment. So we're not sure what exactly he was taking her to the hospital for. And you see, one of the videos I saw was him holding her in the car and literally begging her to stay alive. And according to him, they are taking her to this particular hospital, and they said they should pay 500,000 naira deposit before they even attend to her. And you know, the entire blame is more like because they couldn't pay that and they were trying to get her to another hospital. This was the reason why she passed, and she didn't just pass, she passed with the child, the baby, the unborn baby. And the internet has been divided as to everybody sharing their opinions and all of that, and a lot of it is because of how tragic the story is. It's highly emotional, so it's understandable. But here is my own points on this. Number one is, I'm going to start from the angle of the hospital. My beloved medical practitioners and hospital owners, and whatever field you practice in the line of medicine, I just want to crave our indulgence. It should always be lives before profit. I know you had set up your organizations, and one of the core reasons why that organization is still opening is because of the profit you're making. I understand you have to pay your workers, you have running bills and all of that, and you may not be able to work as a charity organization. I understand that. But I feel like you are also sworn to take care of lives, to save lives, through medical practices. And if this were the case, then come on, Nigerians, we can do better. Let lives be a priority. I understand. I said something to someone. I said, I know that hospitals do referrals all the time. Maybe because they're not well equipped for a particular situation, or something is going on, they would refer you to another hospital that probably has more equipment or more specialists and all of that. If that's on the premise, it's a very different idea. But the story we got was because this couple could not come up with 500,000. And you see that she's in their need of help, or for help, not just because of her alone, but because she was with child. It was important that, you had considered again. Even if you treat her and you decide you're not going to release them, you're going to hold them in the hospital because of the bills, that's a lot more understandable. But here we are faced with the situation of this woman losing her life with her child. So come on, I'm just begging, all right? Hospitals, choose lives over, profits. It shouldn't be all the time profits over lives, and we're losing people that don't have any business being lost in the first place. Please. All right. Now, that being said, I'm going to come to us and the rest of us and the lessons we're supposed to learn. Because whenever something happens, it will not be wise that we didn't pick out a lesson or two from that experience, to help us live better. First things first, I feel like adults are the ones that are to be involved in marriage. Marriage is made up of two adults. That is what I believe, right? In a sane world, two adults who love each other, who decided to spend the rest of their lives together. This is my idea or I feel like this is one of the major definitions of marriage. And now in marriage, you are fulfilling destiny, you are working together, towards a common goal, you're having children together, you're raising a family together, you're trying to build a legacy together, and all of that in between. Now, when you are dating and you are in courtship, what exactly should be the purpose of the reason for your conversation? Your conversation should be around the borders of things that you're going to do if you get married. And these things include: how many children do we want to have? What is the spacing of the children we want to have? Um, and all of that, right? You also should be able to come to a place where you're having conversations around, at the point where we are now, if we get married now, do we want to start having kids immediately? Do we want to wait a year or two? Do we want to wait to attain this level of financial freedom? These are the kind of conversations that you should have. Now, if for instance you both decided that you want to have 3 kids, hopefully you have 2 boys and a girl, or 2 girls and a boy, whatever the case is, and you get into marriage. Maybe when you got into marriage, things were good, things were going very well. You had the first child, I'm just assuming, and you had the first child, everything was good. And maybe after having the first child, we know how sometimes the economy can get on us. You notice that, income is not happening, business is not going well, your job, maybe you lost your job, something is happening around finances. But because one of my mentors used to say something, and I agree with him, Mr. Charles Chima, he used to say that childbirth or childbearing is an economic decision. It's just the truth. It's actually an economic decision, because you're bringing a new life, a new destiny into the world. And this new destiny is the whole human being that runs on a whole budget. That is the truth. So, when if you notice, hopefully things are going very well for you after marriage. But let's be real, we're in real life situation. After marriage, you notice that things are not happening the way you have planned it. You have to call a meeting again. Come, dear. You see, there's no job right now, or the business is not working very well, or this is happening around finance. Yes, I know we said, okay, maybe after our first child has got into 2 years, we're going to have another one. The child is already 2. Please, can we wait a little longer? Let's stabilize a number of things, because if a new child is coming now, this is going to be excessive and additional pressure. So let's just wait. Maybe you wait for another year or 2 years and see how you stabilize things before you start planning to bring another life into the world. So you have to tweak your plans if you're faced with these situations. All right, it's very important. The third thing I want to say is, I told my brother, I said, do you know that God has the capacity to make a woman pregnant in the morning and she has the baby in the evening of the same day? It's possible to be pregnant and in 1 hour's time, the baby is fully developed and the baby comes out. We're talking about God here. But then again, God is the one with the greatest level of wisdom. I believe that one of the reasons that God made sure that a woman carries a baby for 9 months is to give us, the adults, the parents, time to plan and prepare for the coming of that child. So if we have this whole 9 months, 8 months, 7 months, whatever the case is, or depending on when you found out that you're about to have a child, you have to work. If you need to work overtime, as the father, as a husband, you have to do that. As a woman, you have to do that, because you are bringing a life into the world. So you have to, it's giving you room and time to effectively plan. I'm hoping this video is no longer. To effectively plan, we have to utilize that time to put things in order. Some of the plans you will have beyond buying clothes and shoes is the hospital. Which hospital is she going to have the child? Within the first trimester, you should have been able to settle that. You need to start doing hospital scouting, getting the prices, getting the distance. Okay, this is where we're living to have the child. This is where you're going to be Oh, some people will say, oh, they want to travel back home, they want to go here. So all of those plans have to be on ground. So, okay, this is where I am, and I'm going to be having this child. I have to have a hospital that is not so far, a hospital that also tailors to my pocket. When you go to the hospital and you've settled on which hospital, some of the findings you have to find is, what is the rate for normal delivery? How much is the rate for a CS? Right? CS is usually more expensive than normal delivery. I know some of these information because I've had 4 children, and God helped me. I had all my 4 children through the normal way. But these are always the questions I ask all 4 times. What is the cost for CS? I never wanted to have any of my children through CS. I always pray to God to help me with the strength to have my children normally. That was my own desire. There are people who can differ, and there are people who, because of medical situations and conditions, they have to go through this route. So it varies from person to person. But you have to make these findings all the same. So if you're going to a hospital, for instance, the normal delivery may be like maybe 100,000 naira. But CS is like 400,000 naira. I'm just using for instance. Like the hospital I had for instance, my last baby, the normal delivery they told me was 350. The CS was about 1 point something. That was the margin. So the goal is to plan for especially the CS. If God now helps you and you have the normal delivery, then you can now save the money or use it for something else. But you have to intentionally plan for the coming of that child. This is very important. Then, another point I want to make is this: the distance of where a woman is going to have a child. Let me use, for instance, if the when I had my first, I was pregnant with my first. She's 8 years old now. That means 8 years ago, I was 8 to 9 years ago, I was pregnant with her, right? I was in a particular location somewhere in Abuja when I realized I was with child. So what we did was we got a hospital that was close to where I was at that time. In the course of the pregnancy, we were to have a project that needed us to be physically available in another part of Abuja. So what I also did, because now I was pretty much advanced, I was 6 to 7 months old, it wasn't so easy for me to keep going back to the other hospital that I had registered with. So I registered with another hospital here. Now, because I was kind of being in two locations at different times. So I wanted a case where I had a what's it called? I had a hospital that I was attending here that had my records, and I also have one that is back home where my home was. So whatever the case is, wherever I find myself, whichever day labor or whatever happens in the course of the pregnancy, I would have hospitals that were close to where I was. This is very pertinent and very important because, see, everybody, like I said before, is different. Every pregnancy is also different. There are certain people that are pregnant and they have different emergencies in the course of the pregnancy. You want to have a hospital that is pretty close to where she is, just in case of anything. We pray for good health, we pray for, but sometimes it doesn't happen like that. So you make plans and preparations. If you notice, this entire video is talking about intentionality and planning. So all I am saying is, while we pray for things to be averted and all of that, let us plan from the financial part, plan for, even, are we ready to have a child now? Plan to saying that what hospital is she going to attend? Have all of these plans on ground, and we trust God. While we're trusting God that the medical system, is a lot more empathetic towards people. And this is not disputing, some of the doctors and some of medical practitioners have come out to share their experiences in the light of them helping people and how they get rewarded. You hear stories of patients running away from the hospital after owing the hospital hundreds of thousands. They run away, and these hospitals, had to ensure that they treat the person so that they first save the life, but then the person is treated and you hear that the person has absconded. There's so many of these stories, so many of them. And it's unfortunate that human beings behave like this, right? For whatever reasons that they may have. And this is what is impeding the good that should go to others that genuinely need it, unfortunately. So let's do well, let's do better as people generally, from the medical perspective and from us that are trying to have these children. God bless us all right? And I hope that such kinds of stories will not come around where we are. And I pray for comfort for this amazing family. At least we've seen some of their content, on social media. It looks like they are a happy family. And this woman is just gone away from her husband, away from her young children, losing a child and the wife and the mother at the same time is really, really painful to see. I pray that God, the God of all comfort, will come through for them and, whatever form of, justice that they may be seeking, if that's what they are looking for in this situation and if there's room for it, may they also get it. All right. God bless you all.